Howdy everybody, what's going on guys? Welcome back here to another live stream, folks. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. So we're doing things a little different today. Apparently I found out a way that you can actually do YouTube Shorts and a normal stream at the same time on the same program. So I was kind of experimenting and, kind of testing stuff. I also moved my camera around a little bit, so you're kind of at a top angle now. So I moved things around, but we're going to go ahead and go live on the Shorts platform too. So we're kind of just doing both here. But anyways, folks, what's up, guys? We got ourselves a bit to talk about today. Got a little bit of severe weather, got a little bit of snow and all kinds of fun stuff heading up here for the country. Also, a lot of rain for people who desperately need it. But anyways, well, before we go ahead and get on into it here, let's go ahead and see who we have here in the chat. We have Tabletop, we have Awakening, we have Mark, we have Emily, we have, let's see, Johnny, Binks, Tom, Chris, Lake, R.E., Raka, Ryan, Kyle. What's up, guys? And then on the Shorts, we have Johnny, Rob, Johnson. What's up, guys? Hope everyone is doing well. So we do got ourselves a bit to talk about. We're going to go ahead and start off with what's happening right now across the country. So actively right at the moment, we do have a lot of rain that is kicking off across the south here. Driving a little bit of thunderstorms today. Not necessarily anything severe expected for today. I looked over there because I thought the camera was there. I keep on forgetting that I moved everything. So whenever it comes to it, there will be a shot for a little bit of thunderstorms today across Louisiana, Arkansas, areas out there by Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. So we will be seeing a little bit of storms today. Nothing severe though as of now. Now, otherwise, we do have that little snowstorm that we've been watching out here up in the northeast. This guy's kind of rolling its way out. Not really anything going on there anymore. That's going to soon change, though, as we are going to be seeing another system rolling through relatively soon. And speaking of other system, we do have this little clipper system that's kicking off here currently, driving some snow up here towards northern Minnesota, a little bit of rainfall towards the region as well, towards Wisconsin, and kind of pulling out of the Dakotas. So that's kind of what's going on right now. The west is relatively clear, not a lot going on out here. And whenever it comes to it here up in the Pacific Northwest, we do have a little bit of precipitation continuing to fall out in some of these regions here. Let's see. What's up, Deb? What's up, Rob? Hope you're doing good. What's up, Shrimpy? Hope everyone's doing good. So like I said, we're kind of running both Shorts and normal stream today, so we're kind of just testing this out and see how this performs because, I know that some people prefer to watch the stream on, Shorts platform while others like to do it just kind of on the normal. So if you guys want to flop around, it's go to my main page and you guys will see both lives that we're currently doing right now. But anyways, folks, well, we got ourselves a bit to talk about. So we do have another system coming through. We're going to hop you guys over here to this program here. So whenever it comes to it, like we mentioned, we do actually have a bit of winter weather and a bit of severe weather. We'll get to the Storm Prediction Center here in a minute, but there is a lot of stuff that's getting ready to happen across the country. So first of all, like we mentioned here, we've kind of already seen our little bit of snow up here in the north. I mean, we've seen a little bit of precipitation falling out there. That snow is relatively done with for today. There's going to be a little bit of lingering snow showers here for the next little bit. You guys can see the time up here in the top right too if you look at that. So, a little bit of snow showers will continue throughout today. We're going to continue to see a bit of, storm activity, some potential thunderstorms and just a lot of rain working its way out throughout today. And, as we approach kind of right around midnight or so, a lot of that precipitation will start to work its way up here towards Kentucky, up here into the Ohio Valley. We'll be starting to get a bit of that precipitation overall. So we'll definitely be looking out there for that. And then, of course, we do have that continuation of that little clipper system that we're currently watching. We do got some winter storm warnings in effect for northern Minnesota. We do have some winter weather advisories in effect as well. And look at this. Actually, in eastern Montana, we do have some blizzard warnings in effect here. Let's actually take a look at that. We're just going to see. So blizzard conditions, total snow accumulation up to 3 inches, wind gusts as high as 50 miles an hour. So for blizzards, you need a mixture of not only heavy snow, but also, strong winds too. Blizzards aren't necessarily off of accumulations too much, but they basically are a mixture between heavy snow and, of course, the strong winds included as well. Let's see. I literally just beat the rain here in mid-Missouri, getting the gutters cleaned out. Gotcha. What's the chances for an ice storm in Bentonville? Michael, I'm not really sure where Bentonville is. You know what state that is? I mean, that would probably help a little bit if I knew what state you're talking about. But yeah, so, we'll keep it out there for that. We're going to go ahead and progress our way further down in time. So, as we approach our way basically into tomorrow morning, right around 8 o'clock in the morning or so, we're going to continue to see a little bit of showers, a little bit of storms popping off in the south here, with a lot of that precipitation working its way towards the mid-Atlantic. A lot of rain up there towards, even areas like Ohio and Michigan, even getting a bit of rainfall. But then, of course, we do have this snowstorm that's really amplifying at this point. Driving a lot of snow for areas like in southern Ontario, seeing quite a bit. So, for my folks in southern Ontario, we're going to be getting a bit of snow here overall with this system. And as we approach our way kind of for noon tomorrow, we're still going to be seeing a little bit of snow out here towards like Minnesota and whatnot. A little bit of snow showers up here in those upper elevations here towards like Colorado, Wyoming, Montana in general. But here's where things start to get more interesting, okay? As we approach our way here into the afternoon hours tomorrow, we're going to start to get some winter precipitation developing here up in the northeast. So folks out there by, New York State, kind of right around noon or so, we're going to be getting ourselves maybe a little bit of a wintry mix, maybe a little bit of ice potentially, as well as a bit of snow starting to develop here overall. So that'll kick off in the afternoon, in which, as we progress our way into the evening, that will kind of transition more into consistent snowfall tomorrow for folks up there in like northern and like portions of central New York State. Portions of like Massachusetts will be getting some snow around this time. Vermont, New Hampshire starting to get some of it as that precipitation works its way here to the northeast. Now, another thing that's going to be happening at the same time here, since we got all this mess going on here, there's actually going to be a fair amount of cold air, driving its way down into the country. We're going to be dealing with a bit of cold air coming through. We'll get to the temperatures and stuff like that in a little bit, but it is definitely going to be quite cold for some of these folks out here. You're going to definitely want to watch out for that because, it's going to be very, very chilly. Some areas are going to get in the negatives and, some areas are going to get in the single digits and whatnot. It's going to be very cold, but we'll get more into that here in a little bit. But anyways, hopping back up here to the north. So yeah, we progress our way into the evening tomorrow, and that snow will continue to ramp up across the northeast. It should start to kind of taper off right around midnight or so, going into the 10th here. As you can kind of see a lot of that precipitation lighting up a bit as well. At this time, it's still snowing pretty good up here in Maine, but all of this mess should be out basically by relatively the afternoon of the 10th, basically, is whenever that's going to be kind of pulling off. Let's see here. Charles says, will Connecticut see a snowstorm? So Connecticut, with this system, more than likely is just going to remain in rain. We're really not going to be dealing with any or hardly any winter precipitation or anything like that. It's going to be relatively calm from the winter precip for you guys. But, overall, I mean, it is going to be a little rainy. I mean, you guys are going to get some precipitation, but yeah, not likely going to be anything snow related. A lot of that's going to be up to the north. It's just going to be a little too warm for you guys to be dealing with all of that. But, at some point later on this year, I'm sure you guys are going to have your handful of snow. I really believe, dude, I really firmly believe that my folks out here in the mid-Atlantic, I think you guys might be targeted this year. I think we're going to get quite a bit of snow out in these regions here. It's, it's already colder than normal. I think it's going to be a very cold and snowy winter for a lot of people. And for my folks, where I used to live up in Northern Virginia, and for my folks in the Mid-Atlantic, I think you guys are going to be dealing with quite a bit, and we could have some like that nor'easter potential and all that fun stuff. But anyways, let's see here. Oh yeah, so let's go ahead and hop our way over here back to this program here. We're gonna take a look at the severe weather threat from the Storm Prediction Center. So like I mentioned today, we do have a little bit of storm activity going on out here. You know, this green area that you see that's highlighted here, this is our thunderstorm threat today. So this is where we could have a couple thunderstorms out there, you know, not necessarily anything severe today. So then we work our way into tomorrow. Now, tomorrow's threat is a bit bigger, and it does cover a little bit more ground, also including areas out by Georgia, portions of like South Carolina and whatnot. So, you know, we're going to be getting ourselves a bit of thunderstorm activity out here. Once again, not anything severe tomorrow, but we'll watch it. We'll see how that plays out. But day 3, the Storm Prediction Center has actually put out a severe risk for folks out there in like southern Alabama, areas like western Georgia, kind of west and central Georgia here, and a little bit of the panhandle of Florida. You know, we'll be under the risk out there for a little bit of severe weather. That would be for day 3, which today's Sunday. That would be for Tuesday. We'll be getting a little bit of severe weather. And I do plan on doing some coverage with you guys for this. I do think it's going to be needed to go live, you know, because that's kind of the last thing people are thinking about right now is severe weather and stuff. So the way it goes, the Storm Prediction Center does not have a breakdown quite yet overall. Doesn't really have a breakdown quite yet whenever it comes to, you know, tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, and whatnot. As soon as we find that out, we'll let you guys know overall. But here's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to bring you guys over to the models here again. We're gonna dive into the NAM and kind of just see what we're talking about. So let's go ahead and hop you guys over here to the models here. So, yeah, like I said, this is the NAM model. We're going to look at the overall instability. So this is basically the fuel in the atmosphere overall, basically showing us, you know, the fuel that's available in the atmosphere. So as you can see, we approach our way up here into basically late Monday. Overall, you guys can kind of see in the top right. So for late Monday, we're going to be dealing with, you know, a little bit of that instability starting to work its way into the southern United States, in which, you know, that's going to be, you know, along that cold front there that we're going to be dealing with. So for late Sunday going into Tuesday, we're going to have enough instability for storms and like I said, perhaps maybe a little bit of severe weather here too. We'll have to see what SPC does for, you know, for Monday and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, also on top of this, you know, our lower level winds are relatively strong too, which is good to keep these storms relatively organized and whatnot. So there is a lot, you know, not a whole lot, but enough instability in the atmosphere to allow for storms and maybe some isolated severe weather here in the south. You know, that would be out there towards like Louisiana, areas by like Mississippi, maybe Alabama or whatnot. But yeah, like I mentioned, not only do we have the instability, but we also do have some pretty decent wind shear as well, which will help keep storms, you know, like I mentioned, it will help keep storms relatively organized and whatnot, because, you know, storms, they do need that wind shear to allow, you know, for the storms to be kind of organized in general. So yeah, with that being said, we're going to have this strong jet stream rolling through as well. And, you know, like I mentioned, you know, here for Tuesday, the Storm Prediction Center does have a risk for severe weather for folks out here towards, like, you know, the western and central side of Georgia, as well as, like, southern Alabama and out there towards, like, the panhandle here of Florida. You know, there is going to be that shot for some severe weather around this time. Now, like I mentioned, I really believe that we might even have a threat for possibly Monday regarding some storms as well, potentially severe storms. We'll have to see. Because, you know, like I mentioned, the ingredients are in play. We do have the jet stream. We do have the moisture, as well as we're getting ready to show you guys with the dew points. Yeah, here kind of in the lower mid-60s in terms of dew point temperature, which is pretty good. You know, that's supplying a good amount of moisture to these storms here. So we got the moisture. You can see it got, you know, kind of gets pushed out of the way with that cold front there. So we have the moisture, we have the instability, and we have the wind shear. So that's kind of really the three main ingredients that you need. Also lift, but we have the cold front. That's going to be our lifting mechanism, which will allow for the storms to fire off. So, with all that being said, we're going to be getting some storms rolling through here. Like I said, likely starting tomorrow, Monday. I mean, even some thunderstorms today is possible, but it's going to really start for tomorrow. That's whenever, the main set of thunderstorms is going to start to kick off out there. So, we'll definitely keep you guys posted with everything. And like I mentioned, here for Tuesday, once we hop our way into the risk out here towards like Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, we will be doing coverage for you guys in order to cover a little bit of that event. I definitely want to be there to cover that with you guys to make sure you guys are on top of it and, staying weather aware and whatnot, because it's, very, very important. Very, very important that you guys are, staying up to date with everything and everything like that. Now, when it comes to like tornadoes and stuff, honestly, I don't think we're going to be dealing with much of a tornado threat. I think the main problem is going to be like damaging winds. Honestly, I think that's going to probably be the main concern with this event here. Tornadoes probably not going to be as much of a concern. Once again, I think that damaging winds is probably going to be one of the main, if not the main concern here whenever it does come here to, for Tuesday. So, we'll definitely be looking out for that and everything. Let's see here. But anyways, if you guys are just joining here, welcome. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Be greatly appreciated. That way we can help keep you guys updated with the weather. Like I mentioned, we got a bit of stuff going on here. So we're going to shift our way over into snow, and we're going to talk about like accumulations and stuff here. So let's bring y'all over here to the models again. We're going to shoot y'all over here real quick. So this is the GFS. We're going to talk about snow basically throughout the next couple of days here. So, like we mentioned here, we do have that rain in the south that's going to, slowly work its way up here to pretty much the northeast, in general, driving a bit of rain and some storms and perhaps some severe weather in the south. And a lot of that rain will work its way through the Tennessee and Ohio Valley, keeping you guys just in rain, not really any snow out here in general. So that is that, and that'll work its way up here to the northeast before, like I said, transitioning into snow sometime kind of for the later portion of tomorrow in general there. And then, of course, after that, there's going to be even more rain to come, from another little wave that comes through. This will be taking place between like the 11th and 12th. There will be some more rain in the east and, perhaps even some snow out here towards like West Virginia, possibly out there by Ohio, like Pennsylvania, possibly some of those upper elevations, maybe even eastern Tennessee could be seeing some snow out here, possibly like western Virginia, like the far southwestern, kind of towards the Appalachian Plateau out there, before bringing some more snow for areas of like the interior portion of New England. And you can see that really nasty looking line there of storms that could be kicking off there as well with this system as that rolls through. So yeah, that'll be taking place here between the 11th and 12th in general there. And like we mentioned, there will be a lot of cooler air to come down here as well. That cold air from Canada backing its way into the country will be something that you're going to feel as well. It's going to be very, very cold, like we mentioned. For a lot of you folks out there, it's going to be pretty darn chilly there in general. But anyway, so that's what we got going on there. Now, in terms of accumulations, like snowfall accumulations, well, first, let me talk rainfall. I do want to go ahead and show you guys because, a good portion of the south is going to be dealing with a bit of rainfall here. And, according to the GFS model, this is over the next 4 days or so. This is from now until the 12th. In which you can see the south, according to GFS, there could be some local spots, according to this model. Take this with a grain of salt, but, according to the GFS, there could be several inches, maybe 2 to 4, locally up to 5 being possible in some spots here throughout the south, Alabama, Georgia, North and South Carolina, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, going to be seeing a bit of rainfall here. Now, with that second wave, like we mentioned, West Virginia is actually going to be getting a bit of snow. That'll be taking place, like we mentioned, for the 11th going into the 12th, basically. So we'll be having that a bit of, we'll have that bit of snow working its way throughout some of those upper elevations in general. So there's two kind of rounds. We have the first round rolling through here, like I mentioned, just bringing rain for the regions up here in the Ohio Valley and up here towards like the southern side of New England. And then that second wave that comes through right around the 11th and 12th, that's going to be bringing some snow, more snow for the region there in general. So, that's the GFS, showing a good amount of rainfall, especially for folks out there towards like Georgia and Alabama. Several inches of rain will be quite possible. Now with Euro, the ECMWF model, so according to Euro, honestly, really not that much different. So between now and the 12th, which is the next 4 days in general, you can see that there is still that local spot, possibly throughout Georgia and Alabama, that could be getting well over 4 or so inches. I mean, it's going to be quite a bit, potentially in some spots. You're going to be seeing quite a bit, especially where we have kind of that severe weather going on. That's where we're going to have a lot of precipitation going on with this system. But for the most folks out here in the south, we're going to be dealing with at least an inch, kind of where you see this purplish pink color. This is about an inch or so where you see that color, maybe a little more in some spots. But yeah, once you get into the red and stuff like that, that's where that accumulation really does amplify. So, in the south, it'll definitely be good, because a lot of folks out here in the south are relatively dry. And if we actually hop our way over here to the drought monitor again, especially out there by like Alabama and whatnot, I mean, we're pretty dry. This will be fairly good, in terms of helping us out with the drought and everything. Now, like we mentioned here earlier in the last live stream we did, we do have a lot of dry conditions, super dry, like extreme drought conditions up here in like southeast Ohio, up here towards like West Virginia as well. This will be very good in terms of not necessarily curing the drought, but kind of help easing the drought a little bit. So yeah, you folks out here is going to be getting a bit of rain followed by a little bit of snow with that second round. So that'll be good. For a lot of the south, we are relatively dry for the most part. What's up, GR? Hope you're doing good. Welcome. What's up, Braven? Welcome, guys. Hope everyone's doing good. Once again, everybody, if you have not already, hit that like button for us. Be greatly appreciated. And subscribe if you're new. It would be greatly appreciated. That way you guys can stay up to date with the weather, too. It would be amazing. So once again, y'all, thank you for everything. Appreciate you guys. We're going to hop back and we're going to talk snow now. Let's go ahead and hop our way over here back to the models. So we're going to pull up the Euro first, and then we'll look at the GFS regarding the snowfall and stuff like that. So we're going to be talking about the snowfall throughout the next 4 days, roughly. So, as we mentioned, well, first of all, let's go and hop our way up here to the northeast real quick. So with that first round of snow, we're going to be dealing with, a little bit of accumulations here. Not anything super crazy. So basically between the 9th and the 10th here, we're going to be dealing with that first round of snow. Throughout like northern New York, we'll be getting some snowfall. Vermont, New Hampshire, maybe a little bit of northern Massachusetts could be getting a bit of snow, and pretty much all of Maine here will be getting at least like 2 to 3 inches. But yeah, that's really about it with this first round of snow. Not really a lot. Some local spots, possibly up a little bit higher, maybe towards like 4 inches, maybe 5 inches locally. Could be quite possible. So we'll look out for that. Now, the second round that comes through here, so this is total accumulations over the next 4 days or so. We'll be starting to bring some snow for folks out there by like West Virginia, maybe a little bit of a trace to an inch or so out here towards like, Ohio on the eastern side. It could be right around an inch or so according to the Euro. Take that with a grain of salt because, models, at the end of the day, they're not perfect, but they do give us an idea of what things could look like. And of course, throughout the next 4 days or so, we're going to be dealing with, a couple of inches out here towards like Pennsylvania, the heaviest kind of being up in the northeastern side. And some of the heaviest of the snowfall is going to be taking place up here towards like northern New York State. Really no different there. We've been seeing a lot of snow out for a lot of these regions, especially out there by like Watertown. It's been crazy, and we're going to be dealing with another several inches of snowfall out in this region here in general. So, quite a bit of snow according to the Euro in general. So this is over the next, like I said, the next 4 days, basically. Now, hopping over to the GFS, this is the American model here. So according to the American model, with that first round of snow, really not a lot of differential. So this will be taking place between the late 9th going into the 10th here. So once again, folks up there by like northern New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine will be dealing with, a bit of snowfall. a pretty scattered 3 to 5 inches through a lot. So this model, I believe, actually shows a little bit stronger snow, a little bit more heavier snow for some of these folks out here. So we could be dealing with a little bit more out in some of these regions here, locally 3 to 5, locally higher than 3 to 5, right around 6 or so inches out there. Could be possible, but, a pretty widespread 3 to 5 inches throughout like northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and portions out there by like Maine, could be quite, expected. So then we get that second round. Now, according to GFS, it is much more significant with that second round. So the Euro was a little bit less aggressive, a little bit lighter on the snowfall than what this model suggests, which, this is the GFS here. In total, over the next 4 days, according to GFS, we could be dealing with a pretty solid amount of snowfall for some of those upper elevations out there in like West Virginia. Possibly well over a half a foot of snow will be quite possible for some folks out here. For really those upper elevations on the eastern side of West Virginia, could be dealing with a good maybe 4 to 8 locally higher amounts possible. And also, areas out by like eastern Ohio, could be dealing with a little bit more on the far eastern side of things. Pennsylvania, a little bit more as well. Mostly the western side of Pennsylvania, a good 3 to 5 inches. But total, throughout the next 4 days, like I said, from now until the 12th, in total snowfall accumulations from the GFS, I mean, we're going to be talking a decent amount of snowfall for some folks out here. Some regions here dealing with, relatively above a half a foot or so. There could be some local, high amounts according to the GFS. You can see here showing, maybe locally a foot or so in some spots. Can't be ruled out completely. But yeah, so GFS bottom line does show a lot more snow for you folks out there in general. And then lastly, actually, I will pull up the GDPS here. This is the Canadian model. I kind of want to get another opinion here. So with the first round of snowfall, basically same thing. So a lot of you guys are going to be dealing with relatively around 2 to 4 inches of snowfall, with local higher amounts around 5 being possible. Here between the 10th, or relatively the late 9th going into the 10th here. And that snow will be falling up across like northern New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Maine kind of more right around like 1 to 3. Vermont and New Hampshire kind of more like 2 to 4 inches in general. And same thing for like northern New York State as well. There could be a little bit of accumulations up here towards like the northern side of Massachusetts, the extreme northern and kind of north central, northwestern side of Massachusetts kind of being, possible with a little bit of accumulations. But in general, Massachusetts out of this first round, or really just in general, isn't really going to be seeing much of anything. So then we have the GDPS. Now, the GDPS, the Canadian model here, actually shows more snow for folks more into the interior portions of Ohio, possibly out there by like Columbus, possibly more towards like 1 to 3 inches, a little bit more snowfall than kind of what some of the other models were suggesting. And kind of between what the Euro and the GFS was saying, showing a fair amount of snowfall for the upper elevations of like West Virginia. So for the folks out there kind of on the eastern side, it will be relatively snowy in general. And, some areas could easily see over a half a foot of snow in some spots. So we'll look out for that. But I do want to move the camera a little bit here. We're going to hop to the Ohio Valley in general. Because, there will be even the possibility for maybe a little bit of snow, according to this model. Okay, so take this with a grain of salt. Don't make any decisions off of this. But according to the Canadian model, there could be some snow across a lot of Tennessee, possibly northern Alabama, possibly northern Georgia, maybe a little bit of northeast Mississippi. Not a lot, really, but a little bit. Enough to where you'd see some snow. Could be possible. That's what the GDPS model says. You can kind of see a little bit of a trace in some of these regions here. Now, with the GFS, the American model for these areas here, you can kind of see that that's not really the case according to the American model. Kind of, keeping that snow away from a lot of Tennessee and like Alabama and whatnot. It does show a little bit of snow. The GFS though, up here towards like the eastern side of Tennessee, like eastern Kentucky, relatively in the range of around like 1 to 3 inches or so. Locally, 4 or 5 could be possible according to this model. And then of course, lastly, we do have the Euro, the ECMWF model, which the Euro, honestly, really doesn't show that really happening. So between the GFS and the GDPS, so the Canadian and the American model, they agree that there will be some snow, at least for like eastern Tennessee, but the Euro doesn't really support that. Maybe a trace or so out there towards like a lot of central and eastern Kentucky, and only a couple of inches up there towards, the upper elevations here of like West Virginia in general. So that is what the models have to say. Now, I want to go ahead and hop you guys over here, and we're going to talk the official accumulations, basically kind of what we are expecting, based off of what the models are saying and whatnot in general. What about Kentucky? So yeah, Kentucky could see a little bit, probably really not going to deal with a lot, to be honest with you guys. The greatest chances for heavier snowfall will be along the eastern side of Kentucky. But yeah, Kentucky, this is not really going to be much of a big storm for you guys, more than likely. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop our way over here. We're going to take a look at the overall expected accumulations over the next little bit. Now, there's actually going to be a bit of ice, too, for some areas, which... yeah, ice is a big problem, in which, we're going to be dealing with a bit of ice up in the north, which, could be quite problematic. But first, let's talk snowfall. Let's go ahead and bring you guys back over here. So, whenever it comes to it, this is the expected amount. So this is within the next 72 hours, okay? So this is how much snow we are expecting in the next 3 days, okay? So according to the official accumulations and whatnot, so this is over the next 3 days. This does not really take in consideration much of the second round of snow, but mostly more of the first round of snow in general. Overall, it doesn't really get the full amount, but this is just over the next 3 days, okay? So, according to this, Maine, out there towards the southern side, we could be dealing with, a good maybe 1 or 2 inches out there. New Hampshire could be having some local amounts on the east central side, possibly right around like 2 to 4 inches, locally higher amounts being quite possible here in general. And then, of course, we do got like northern New York State here, a couple of inches being possible. Some of the heaviest accumulations out here towards like the western side of New York in general, overall. Sonia, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you, Sonia. That is very, very sweet of you. That'll help us out a bunch. Thank you for that. Saying thank you for all you do, keeping everyone informed anytime. You guys are very welcome. I'm glad to be here with y'all. And seriously, Sonia, thank you for that. That's really, really generous. That's really sweet of you. Thank you so much for that. It's greatly appreciated. So yeah, Western New York, dealing with a couple of inches. Once again, this is not really taking in consideration that second wave of snow. This is mostly just the first wave of snow in general, because, if we hop to the next 48 hours regarding snowfall, let's see here. Yeah, a lot of that's for that upper portion, that first round. But then we start to get the second round as the 72-hour mark gets to us. So I don't think that's really the full accumulations in general. But then, of course, we hop our way here towards like eastern areas of West Virginia. And we are seeing, possibly, good 2 to 3 inches or so. It's possible up in those upper elevations. A couple of inches will be possible, which, it's a bit of a problem for you folks out there, just because, obviously the terrain in West Virginia is very mountainous and hilly, can make winter travels a little bit more dangerous, because whenever you add elevation to slippery roadways, not really the best combination. So, yeah, be careful out there for sure. Now, some of the snow will be quite possible out here towards, out here towards like eastern, eastern Tennessee. A little bit of a trace for some of those upper elevations towards like Johnson City, Mountain City. Remember, I think this is, I really don't think this takes into consideration all of the accumulations in general, but that's that. Let's see. We're Divine, dude, coming in with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. So, on the YouTube Shorts, when War Divine donated $2, I appreciate that, my friend. Saying, yo, super chats, boost viewership. Appreciate ya. Thank you for that. That's That's seriously greatly appreciated, my friend. That means a lot, you guys, for the support. Thank you. Helps keep food on the table, helps pay the bills and stuff. So I appreciate it very, very much. Sonia and War Divine, thank you guys for your support. Much, much appreciated, folks. Thank you, thank you. So, but yeah, like I said, a little bit of snow for the upper portions of like eastern Tennessee and like western, North Carolina. Could see a little bit out there in general. And for the Appalachian Plateau of like western, Virginia could see, about an inch or so. But yeah, once again, I don't think that's taken into consideration the full amount of accumulation. Now, then we work our way up here towards Michigan. So my folks up here in Michigan, especially the western side, that's where we're going to be dealing with a lot of the snow. You folks out here, honestly, we've been kind of dealing with a lot of snow for you folks in the western side. Not really a lot towards Detroit area. I mean, you guys have been relatively mild comparing to the western sides here of Michigan due to the fact that, we've had that crazy lake effect for the last week or so out here kind of towards the western side from the lake here. So we will be dealing with a little bit, especially out there kind of towards like the far northwestern side of Michigan, towards like Empire and Burdickville, Sleeping Bear Dunes. We could be dealing with a pretty good amount right around the coast. But yeah, for more of the interior western sides, it's going to be mostly about like maybe 2 to 4 inches, maybe locally a little bit more, could be quite possible in general. In which, for the upper state though, for you guys on the far northern state, that's probably where we're going to be dealing with, a pretty fair amount. The northern coast out there could be dealing with some places upwards of a foot or so, which could be pretty good amounts of snow. A little bit of northern Wisconsin over the next 3 days. We'll be seeing a bit of snowfall. Portions out there towards like, central Minnesota, a couple tenths of an inch, really nothing big. But that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, let's go and talk ice, because like I mentioned, there will be a little bit of a problem regarding some ice up here in the Northeast. Yeah, you folks out there in like Vermont, New Hampshire, and portions of Maine, we're going to be dealing with a bit of an icy problem. Out there, especially towards like Rumford and like western Maine, you guys, we're talking like 3 millimeters of ice, which, that is enough to cause some problems for sure. So, definitely out there in the western sides of Maine, please be careful. Same thing for New Hampshire here, especially towards the central side. It's going to get pretty hefty towards like Conway and towards Berlin and some of those regions. Southern Vermont here too could see some, localized amounts of, up to right around 3 millimeters of ice, which doesn't really sound like much, but you don't really need a lot of ice to cause problems. That's the thing. So yeah, please be careful, especially whenever you're in those upper elevations, where we could be seeing some of that ice, makes travel extremely dangerous. Even a little bit of ice, like I said, can cause some numerous problems. So, keep that in mind, guys, for sure. Definitely is going to be something that we're going to really need to look out for. There will be a little bit of ice here, too, up here towards, like, the eastern sides of New York State, kind of the eastern and kind of northeastern sides. We could be picking up, a millimeter or so, maybe locally higher, which, still could cause some problems, like slippery sidewalks and stuff like that. Let's see here. Katrina says, what about the winds in southern New England? Good question. So, yeah, the winds regarding this system here, actually, we're going to bring you guys back to the models here to look at the winds regarding this system here. So, let me go ahead and bring you guys back over to the models here. We're going to take a look at that now. So, whenever it comes to the winds and stuff, we're going to go ahead and bring this up. Make sure we'll bring up our winds in general. So with that system that comes through, it's going to get pretty windy, especially for some of those coastal areas of New England. So this is as we approach our way into the late 11th. So this is for the evening of the 11th here. We're going to be likely dealing with some very, very strong winds, out there towards like the Chesapeake Bay area. Could be dealing with some strong winds out there towards like, areas in New Jersey, like southern New York State, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, and some of those regions out there towards like the southern area of New England could be dealing with a good 20, 30 knots of winds. Now on the coast here, it could be right around like 40 knots, and this is relatively strong. Whenever you have those winds that are just kind of battering up against the coast there, that could even cause a little bit of swelling, causing the water level to rise a bit. So that is also something that could be quite possible. Kind of similar to storm surge, but not as significant, of course. But yeah, it can cause the water to swell up a little bit, especially during high tide. Making things relatively, a little bit more higher than usual. So keep that in mind, if you're across the coastal areas, especially like, Long Island and whatnot, could be dealing with, coastal winds of around like 40 knots. That's not even gusts. That's sustained winds, So that's going to be something that you're going to need to look out for out there. Now, for more of interior New England, according to GFS, it really doesn't show as much. Unfortunately, though, as this cold air comes back down, there will likely be some more like lake effect snow and stuff. So that'll be something that we're going to need to look out there for, too. Kind of more in the longer future is maybe a little bit more lake effect temporarily as some of that cooler air gets in. We'll talk about the cold air next. But look at this. According to GFS, as we approach our way in here for basically the early morning, kind of around midnight or so, around 11 p.m. Eastern, we could be dealing with maybe some areas near 50 knots of sustained winds out there. That is actually very, very windy. And once again, this is sustained. That's around sustained of like 60 miles an hour. That's like tropical storm force winds, across a lot of the coastal areas here. Actually, all of the coastal areas here could be dealing with like tropical storm force winds. Now, obviously, it's not a tropical storm, but the winds are going to be equivalent to a tropical storm. So, yeah, definitely going to be very windy. Now, Euro. The ECMWF, obviously it's never good to just go off of one model. It's good to obviously take all models into consideration or at least get other views from the models. So according to like the Euro here, as we approach our way into, here you go. So basically for the late 11th going into the early 12th, according to the Euro model, still quite a bit of strong winds. Probably not as significant. I think the GFS takes this a little bit more significantly, but still very strong winds, upwards of like tropical storm force winds. Sustained around 35 knots or so here towards the coastal areas, which that's going to be pretty strong. In which with those strong winds, and some of those gusts, that could cause the water levels to rise a little bit on the southern side of like Rhode Island, southern side of like Massachusetts, and like southern areas of Long Island. Could be dealing with a little bit of swelling from the water there. And then, of course, afterwards we do get a little bit of easterly winds. Basically, a lot of that cooler air rolling over the Great Lakes could be a little bit more of a lake effect concern. What's up, Misty? Welcome. Hope you're doing good. Let's see here. Anthony says, anything for Central Ohio? So Central Ohio is going to be dealing with a little bit of rainfall. Here, let's go ahead and bring you guys over here. So for Central Ohio, really nothing significant expected for you guys. You can see we're going to get a little bit of rainfall coming through. So this will actually be for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be dealing with a bit of rainfall and stuff like that coming through. Now, there might be a little bit of snow. You can kind of see on the eastern side. This is with that second round between the 11th going into the 12th here. And then maybe some lake effect snow behind that, like we were talking about, with that colder air kind of going over the Great Lakes there. So, for really Central Ohio, though, we're really not expecting much of anything to occur for you guys. It's going to be relatively fine. Really not a lot going on at that point. Now, wind related, out here for the morning of the 12th, the late 11th, basically, we could get a little breezy out here. Some of that easterly winds are, rolling over the region. Now, one of the things I do want to look at now with you guys is the temperatures, because, that's going to be an unfortunate impact with this storm here in general, is going to be quite a bit of, quite a bit of cold air rolling through. So let's go ahead and bring you guys over here to the temperature. So for at least for now, for today and whatnot, it's actually relatively warmer. Throughout today, it's kind of nice for a lot of places. 40s, 50s, scattered throughout. The central and eastern U.S. The south is actually pretty warm out here today. In some of the spots out there towards like coastal Mississippi, coastal Alabama, portions of Florida, which is always usually warm, but hasn't been quite lately. We've actually been having some cold air down here. But then, of course, Georgia, pretty warm in the 60s and whatnot. Now, here's the problem. We work our way down in time here, and that cold air starts to push its way up in the north here, basically for tomorrow morning. But as we approach our way here into the morning of the 10th, you can see that those freezing temperatures do return for a lot of folks up here in the central and northern U.S. and like the upper Midwest area. Could be definitely quite cold in general. And then, of course, but that's not it. That's definitely not it. So for the morning of the 11th, that's where those negative temperatures will start to become a problem. So I don't know if you guys can really see this. There's this little white hue that's right here where my crosshairs are. So that little white hue here, that's where we are seeing the 0 line. So anything above it is sub-0, and everything below it is above 0. So, yeah, negatives temperatures out there, for the morning of the 11th towards, like, northern areas of Minnesota, out there towards, like, North Dakota, a little bit up there towards, like, northeastern South Dakota in general. It gets colder, unfortunately. So then for the morning of the 12th, those single digits and potentially negatives could work their way into Wisconsin, northern areas of Iowa. And around this time, too, for the morning of the 12th, look at the Ohio Valley. We're dealing in temperatures in the teens, my friends, and the freezing point getting all the way down towards like north central Alabama. Now, remember, it's not even winter yet, guys. We're hitting winter in about, 12 days or so? So we're not quite at winter yet, but we're definitely feeling some winter temperatures out here. That's for sure. Now, honestly, because of this, it really makes me wonder, like, what we're going to be in store for this actual winter. I think we actually are going to be dealing with a cold winter, and it's already kind of showing signs of it, considering how cold we already are and how early it already is. It's been pretty cold for a lot of folks out here in the country lately. I think we're going to need to bundle up a lot this winter. But anyway, so yeah, for the morning of the 12th, that really cools down quite a bit. Then, of course, over the next couple of days, it'll still be pretty cold, single digits and maybe some negatives still going on up there in the northern side of the country. And then that's kind of where that ends. So there will be a lot of cold air. Once again, we do have a little bit of a warm front, too, going on in the south. That's going to be ahead of potential severe weather like we're talking about. We're watching a little bit of severe weather kicking off. As of now, the Storm Prediction Center does have a risk for Tuesday, which I'll go ahead and show you guys again for the people who haven't seen it. So out here for Tuesday, we do got ourselves a bit of a severe weather risk out there kind of for the southern side of Alabama, for like central and like southwestern sides here of Georgia and like the western side here of Florida. So for the Panhandle, yeah, we're going to be dealing with a little bit of severe weather out here possibly for Tuesday. So we'll have to look out there for that. That's something that we're going to obviously need to be looking out for. Now, like I mentioned, as of right now, there is no breakdown per se from the Storm Prediction Center regarding the percentage for tornadoes, large hail or damaging winds. I do think that the main concern, though, is going to be mostly damaging wind gusts. I think that's probably going to be the main thing we need to look out for. It's just going to be a little bit of gusty winds. Now, also for Tuesday, thunderstorms will be possible anywhere in the green here that you guys can kind of see. So the dark green, that's where severe weather is going to be possible Tuesday, and the light green, that's where thunderstorms are going to be possible for Tuesday. And you can actually see that the potential for thunderstorms even gets its way up into Virginia, possibly out there towards like Delaware, maybe even a little bit of storm activity on the southern side can't be ruled out. Portions of like southern Maryland, we'll have to look out for that. There could be definitely some storms out there in general. Let's see here. Megan says, I think the storm, I got the weather warning for about later this week. I'm in Quebec. Gotcha. So for Quebec, yeah, actually we do have a little bit of a winter system rolling through here. Let me show you that real quickly. We're going to bring you guys over to this program. So yeah, so that's actually going to be kicking off tomorrow night across like southern Quebec. Montreal actually getting a little bit of snow here right around the evening here of tomorrow. You can see kind of rolling its way into the region here. This is right around like 6 o'clock or so, like 5 or 6 p.m. In general. So we will be getting some snow that will roll across, southern Quebec. Obviously, my radar here, or the future radar here, doesn't go all the way up into Quebec. But you can see for the southern side, you guys are going to be dealing with widespread snowfall as that system does kind of roll through. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, in general, why we do have those warnings and advisories out there. Because, we're going to be getting a little bit of snow out there in general. Now, for, how much snow we're going to be expecting out there, it's a pretty good amount. Now, I don't think you guys use inches like we do in the U.S. You can probably convert it, but for some of those southern areas in Quebec, widespread amounts of a good 4 to 6 inches, locally higher amounts, maybe towards 8 or so inches could be quite possible. Montreal, kind of dealing with maybe right around 2 inches or so, not a whole lot. Toronto, maybe getting a few tenths of an inch, nothing really big. Then we go up here towards Timmins, a good 5 inches or so. I don't usually really cover Canada too much, but I think we're going to start including you guys in some of our forecasts and stuff because, my fellow Canadians, I care about you guys too, and I'd like to expand that. So maybe here soon we'll start talking more about Canada's weather as well because, you guys are getting impacted pretty good too. And a lot of Canada's population is actually relatively close to the U.S. Border here. Actually, I think 60% or something like that of the population is along the along the border of the U.S. So yeah, we'll be covering a lot of you guys here too from here on out, especially with snowfall and whatnot. We'll be letting you guys know what's going on. But yeah, some of those areas up on the far eastern side of Canada in Quebec, out there by Sept-Îles, I'm not sure how you say that for sure. But yeah, we could be dealing with over a foot in some of those regions there in general. So, it's going to be just a little bit snowy out there. Let's see here. Megan says, we maybe got 15 centimeters last night system this week. They're saying rain. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there will be a little bit more. I'm not sure. So isn't there 2.5 centimeters in an inch? So yeah, so about 6 inches will be over 13 or so centimeters. I can't. My brain can't do the math right now off the top of my head. But yeah, that's that. Do I have a Facebook group? I do. Yes. If you go in our description, guys, we do have all of our social media and stuff like that. We do have all of that stuff there for you guys. I redid the description the other day, so you guys can look at all that. We do have our Facebook and stuff. Look at under the Connect social media. So, yeah, we do. We're gonna start. We don't really post to it too much, but we're gonna start posting more to it. I want to get our socials up and rolling more here soon. So we'll be working on that. Let's see here. Isaac says, "Hey Andrew, how many severe thunderstorms are typically on a marginal risk?" You can't really tell, because you can't really look at it that way because, marginal risks are never always the same size. Marginal risks do mean that there's a lower shot for severe weather, but the threat's still there. But yeah, marginal risks vary in size every event. They're never really the approximate size. And, also events too. Some events are stronger than others and some of them perform better than others, despite the risk. You can't really go off of that. Let's see here. Any worries for severe in coastal North Carolina this week? Sorry, I missed the stream. You're good, man. So, honestly, I don't think you're going to be dealing with much of any concerns, to be honest with you. There might be a little bit of instability, lingering energy in the atmosphere that could work its way towards your area. So, hopping over here to the models. For the people on shorts, you guys can't really see that, but for the folks out here on the mainstream, you guys can somewhat see it. Actually, you know what? I might be able to just do this. Yeah, there you go. That way you guys can both see it. So, yeah, you can see a little bit of that lingering instability could be there for the kind of the morning of Wednesday. Now, will it produce severe weather? I don't know. I don't really think so. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. That's a strong jet stream, though. By the way, look how strong that mid-level jet is. I mean, shoot, even our lower-level jet we just looked at there, too, along the coastal areas, it's pretty strong. The ingredients are theoretically there, to produce some storms and maybe even some severe weather. I don't know. As long as there's a source of lift in the environment, I wouldn't see why there wouldn't be any storms just, roughly looking off of it like I am now. I'm going to grab a sounding. I don't think this is going to fit the screen for you guys very well, but just kind of want to see. Yeah, it looks totally different for both of you guys. Yeah, I mean, you can see, both of you guys can see that there's a little bit of instability kind of in our mid-atmosphere that, could get some low-top thunderstorms, meaning that the storm tops are going to be relatively lower. And the winds around that elevation are pretty strong. So, there could be some good organization in those storms, actually. So I do think, I do think there could be some storms out there, maybe severe. But remember, this is also one model, too. HRRR doesn't go that far out quite yet. I don't think RAP does really either. No. We'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, if that continues to pop up in the models and stuff, then we'll keep you updated with everything in general. Let's see here. What's up, Cream Car? Hope you're doing good, man. Haven't seen you here in a minute. Saying a fun fact: I've been told that they measure people's height in feet and inches, at least in Ontario. Really? That's surprising. Yeah, I thought if you're outside the U.S., you don't use the imperial. You use the metric. Which, honestly, okay, this is a hot take. This is a very hot take. In my opinion, I like them both pretty good. Imperial, I think, I honestly think that the metric system, it makes more sense. Like 0 Celsius freezing and like 100, Celsius being the boiling point of water. That makes more sense than like 212 and, 32, which are just random numbers. That's a hot take, though. That's for temperatures. But then you got like other things like, measuring in distances like feet and whatnot. I prefer the imperial. Anyways, bit of a hot take, like I said. Let's see here. Kirk says, hello, Andrew. One heck of a storm here in the UK on Saturday. Lots of damage. Winds at 90+ miles an hour. Wow, dude. Holy cow. That's pretty strong. That's really strong winds. Well, hopefully everything's good for you, man. That's wild. I had Milton. I was actually in the eye wall of Milton here in Polk County whenever it went through. And we had about 90, 100, 110 mile an hour winds or so where I was at. And I know how strong that is. That is really crazy. Hopefully everything's okay there. That's pretty wild, man. That's pretty wild. Let's see here. But yeah, so once again, tabletop, going back to your question here, though, like we mentioned, I do personally think that there could be some storms, but we'll watch about, to see if it's going to be anything severe, can't really quite tell you yet. As of right now, according to the Storm Prediction Center, Tuesday is really the main day we got to look out for now. I think they will add other days to this risk as well. Wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow night they added a risk for areas further west. I do think that there could be some stronger storms up here in the western sides tomorrow. Now, like I mentioned, for once that storm approaches you, they'll be kind of right around Wednesday or so. I think obviously we're going to be getting some storms out there, but we'll see about severity. I think it's possible. I do. See here. Thanks, Andrew. Always will be watching. Yep, no problem, man. Anytime. Glad to help you guys out. Hey, like I said, that's the point of the channel, guys, is to help you guys out, help keep you guys weather aware. So, we're here for you. We care about you guys, and we'll make sure to keep you guys updated with everything. We'll always be on top of it. We'll always be on top of it. And by the way, if you haven't already, this would be a good time to say, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I'm not going to be that typical YouTuber that pushes you to, but, consider it, because it could come in handy for you guys one day, if you're caught up in the nastiness of Mother Nature. We'll be here to cover it. We cover everything from snowstorms to hurricanes to severe weather and stuff. So, and we cover the main 48 states and sometimes a little bit of Canada too. Obviously, if consider it, y'all. Be much appreciated. That way you guys can stay on top with everything. But anyway, so that's that. I did want to mention that with you guys here. So let's go ahead and bring our way back up here to the snowfall accumulations and stuff like that. So this is how much snow we are expecting in the next 3 days or so. So like we mentioned, there's kind of 2 rounds that's coming through. The first round here of snowfall is going to be taking place here. Well, actually, this is kind of what's going on now. We had a little bit of snow that's kind of rolling out of the upper northeast. That's kind of out here, though. But then, of course, upcoming here for basically tomorrow, we do have a lot of, quite a bit of precipitation rolling through the south. A little bit of storms, maybe a little bit of severe weather going on out here in the south. A lot of rain for areas up there by like the Tennessee and Ohio Valley, which will be good. Obviously, you folks out here do need the rain quite badly. So this will definitely be very useful for some of you folks out there, especially like, southeast Ohio and like West Virginia. Rain is what you guys need right now. I mean, it's been very, very dry out there. And then, of course, we approach our way here into basically tomorrow afternoon. That's when we're going to start to kind of transition kind of more into wintry precipitation up north. Now, for the areas that's going to be dealing with the snow, it's going to be mostly kind of these regions here that's going to be in that snow concern for tomorrow, being, like northern New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Yeah, you guys are going to be the ones that's going to be dealing with that first round of snowfall coming through. And like I said, it's going to be kind of starting right around the early afternoon tomorrow. It will be going through, and it should be relatively dying out as we approach our way into the morning of the 10th. So that's going to be kind of the timing with everything, and kind of what we can be expecting, with that storm. Now, like I mentioned, kind of widespread amounts of around like 2 to 4 inches or so could be possible. Locally higher amounts can't be ruled out, but relatively lower end on accumulation here. Now, if I do hop you guys over here to, let's actually look at the GFS here. I'll pull up the American. It's a little less resolution, as you guys can probably tell here. It's not as high quality of a model, but it does go further out. So, yeah, there's that first round of snow that comes through. That works its way out. And then, of course, we do get that second wave of more precipitation. So, first of all, we get this kind of burst of rainfall throughout tomorrow. That turns into snow tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow evening. And then we get another round of rainfall coming through the south and up here towards like the mid-Atlantic and the northeast here. And then before possibly turning into some more snow on the backside, maybe as far south as like Tennessee, and some of those upper elevations there, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York State, and deal with a little bit. This will probably be where more of the heavier accumulations would be. And this snow takes place basically between the morning of the 11th, and it kind of rolls through and ends kind of on the morning of the 12th. So it's kind of like a day's worth of snowfall for some of you folks out there. What's up, Robin? Hope you're doing good. Welcome. Let's see here. Kirk says I had some damage to my garden, but sadly there was 2 deaths from trees falling on cars. Oh, sorry to hear that, man. Prayers because of the families out there that were affected, and yeah, sorry about your garden, dude. That's terrible. But anyways. So, yeah, there's going to be a couple rounds of snow that we're going to be kind of dealing with here in general. And like we mentioned as well, there will be a lot of cold air coming over. So a lot of that easterly cold air will be rubbing over the Great Lakes here, causing a little bit of lake effect snow to be occurring yet again. You guys are no shy or no short of that right now. It's been pretty bad. It's been pretty crazy the last little bit. So that'll be taking place here. The lake effect won't be lasting as long as the last event did. But it will be pretty much going on throughout the 12th and kind of ending for the 13th for the most part. According to GFS, look at that. So this, we'll talk about it because it's not super far out. So GFS here, we'll look at Euro in a minute too. So GFS shows a little bit of snow, maybe kicking off for the afternoon of the 13th out here towards like Nebraska on the eastern side, maybe Iowa, Wisconsin, maybe Illinois. Could be a little system maybe bringing some more rain here. The pattern looks like we're going to be seeing a bit of rainfall in a lot of the east here coming up, so that'll be good because we desperately need a lot of that rain. It's been it's been pretty darn dry. Like I said, out in some of those regions there, it's been pretty bad. Yeah, let's look at the Euro though. I want to see what the Euro suggests. Actually, I don't think Euro shows it on this program here, so we're gonna have to pull that up on a different web page here for you guys. Here, let's go and do that. We're gonna hop you guys over here real quick. So, Euro perspective. So like I said, we had the same model and stuff, by the way, guys. Euro, when we approach the time frame, does show a little disturbance, maybe a little bit of rain, but really not a lot of anything. Yeah, you can see Euro is a lot different of a take here than what the GFS suggested. And if we hop back to the GFS here, you can see that system could be a little bit more. Hold on, what run are we on here? Is this 12 Zulu? This is... Yeah, as we approach away in like to the 14th or so. That's weird. Why did the other model show it a lot more significant? Anyways. Well, yeah, so, I mean, we'll keep an eye on it. It's a little farther away out here, though. But, you know, both models are showing signals on it, which is something to take into consideration. You know, both models are talking about it, so it could be a system in the future we need to look out there for. But anyways, folks, if you guys have any questions about anything, you know, feel free to let us know. Once again, we're here for you. We want to help you guys out as much as possible. So if y'all have any comments, feel free to let us know down in the comments and stuff like that. And if you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button for us. It'd be greatly appreciated, y'all. I appreciate y'all being here. And then, like I mentioned, you know, whenever it comes to the cold air, once again, we're getting another burst of just really, really cold air coming down in the country here. So, really, for the morning of the 12th is when you're going to really feel it. Up there in the north here, according to GFS here, you know, up in, like, northern Wisconsin, most of Minnesota, you know, out there towards, like, North Dakota as well, northeastern South Dakota here, too. Could be in the negatives out there. Ohio Valley possibly in the upper teens, maybe lower 20s. Same thing for portions of like the Midwest in the 20s. Yeah, very cold. Super, super cold. Then Euro. Like I said, it's good to compare models. It's never good to just go off of a singular model. And look at that, for the morning of the 12th, same thing. Actually a bit cooler, according to the Euro here, the ECMWF, showing Wisconsin like all in the negatives, northern Iowa in the negatives, all of Minnesota, northeastern sides of South Dakota, and out there towards like North Dakota here in the negatives. Now remember, this is not feel-like temperatures. This is actual temperatures. This is what the temperatures will be. Feel-like temperatures and like wind chill and stuff like that are going to make this even more colder in general. Like here's the, yeah, I mean, look at this. This is wind chill for the morning of the 12th. Yeah, we're going to be in the negative 30s. Some areas near negative 40. With the wind chill, the kind of feel-like temperature, yeah, it's going to be very brutal out there. And even out there towards the Ohio Valley, we're going to be like near zero and the negatives. Very cold, very cold. You know, that wind really adds a component to make that make that air just cut right through you. It's pretty rough. It's pretty rough, man. So, yeah, really prepare for the cold because it is going to be freezing. And that's an understatement for a lot of you folks out there. Let's see here. Sounds good, Tanya. Mike says, let's see, look like any snow anytime soon for the Rolla, Missouri area, 65401. I don't think there's really anything going on for Missouri anytime soon. You know, based off of what we kind of looked at here earlier, there's really just Missouri in general. I don't really see any systems ahead of you guys. The only thing is like southeastern Missouri might get a little bit of rainfall out of this system here. Really not a lot of anything, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, nothing significant, but the thing is that, yeah, we're going to be dealing with a lot of cooler air like we were just talking about there and stuff like that, you know. Whenever it comes to, the temperatures, I mean, this is the feel like the wind chill here, you know, for the morning of the 12th, yeah, it's going to be pretty darn cold out in Missouri, you know, feel like temperature, the wind chill, it's going to be like in the teens, and up in northern Missouri, kind of towards like the negatives there. Super, super cold. Super, super cold out there. So, yeah, we'll definitely, you'll definitely need to bundle up, especially for the morning of the 12th. It's going to be pretty bad. It's going to be pretty cold, there in general. And, that'll actually last its way into the 13th as well, into the morning of the 13th. Actually, it'll still be pretty darn chilly up in there. But I think the coldest morning is going to be the morning of the 12th for you guys. And for most of the country here, the coldest morning is going to be for the 12th there. So, yeah, if you guys, whenever you guys head out for work or school or whatever you're doing, for the morning of the 12th, make sure that you bundle up, because you're gonna wish you did if you haven't, because it is going to be very, very cold for you folks out there. And then for the 12th, actually, that's when we're going to be dealing with a little bit of snowfall. For portions of like the Northeast here in like the Ohio Valley. So, like we have, like I mentioned beforehand, basically what is going on here. Let me go ahead and bring up my pen so I can like draw on the screen and stuff for you guys. So, yeah, I mean, basically what is going on here is that, this low pressure system kicks up, drives a lot of warmer air up ahead of that front. So our cold front's like right in here. So a lot of warmer air pulls ahead, and this actually drags a cold air from up north down into the country. And this will make things like really cold in general. So, not only are we dealing with, potential severe storms in the south, a good amount of rainfall down there, not only are we dealing with a bit of snow towards the Ohio Valley, some of the mid-Atlantic, some of the Northeast, but also, we're going to be dealing with a lot of really cold air coming down on top of it. So, yeah, this system is going to be a pretty heavy impactor, not just on one front, but on, the main fronts, temperatures, severe weather, snow, all that fun stuff. So, yeah, it'll definitely be quite an impactful storm system here in general. So, we'll keep you guys posted with everything, and hopping back over here to this program here in general. Like we mentioned, overall, whenever it does come to like the severe weather and stuff. So for today, like we mentioned, there is no severe thunderstorms today expected. However, later today there could be the possibility for thunderstorms, and areas out there by Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee could see some storms today. Some thunderstorms. Not once again anything severe today expected, anyways. Tomorrow, kind of some of the same areas here: Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, a little bit further north, folks up there towards like Tennessee and southern Kentucky could even see a couple booms of thunder here out of some storms rolling through. Here towards Georgia, portions of South Carolina, and the panhandle of Florida. But it's not really until Tuesday is whenever the severe risk from the Storm Prediction Center comes up out there towards like southern Alabama, towards like the central and southwestern side here of Georgia, like western sides here of Florida. We have this big marginal risk out there for a little bit of severe weather being possible. Now, like I mentioned, as of now, there is no breakdown from the Storm Prediction Center regarding what kind of hazards we're dealing with here, but from what it looks like, on my end, looking at the models and everything, I think it's mostly just going to be a damaging wind concern. But we'll look out for other concerns as well. We'll see what the SPC thinks about it, and whatever they show, we'll let you guys know as soon as we find out, which will be tomorrow. Tomorrow's update, we will have another bit of information for you guys to kind of show y'all what the exact probabilities of tornadoes and whatnot will be. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. And, whenever it comes to it, like I mentioned, tomorrow, I would not be surprised if the SPC did add a little marginal tomorrow. Given conditions and stuff like that, we'll go ahead and bring you guys back down here to the models. Like, given conditions and everything, I honestly believe that we will be seeing, let's see here, we're going to bring you all back over here. I honestly believe that we will be seeing enough instability and whatnot to allow for some storms later to occur. So this is for tomorrow night here. You can kind of see, and there's a good widespread amount of unstable air or instability in the atmosphere throughout like Louisiana, throughout portions of like Mississippi, a little bit of Alabama, to allow for some storms. And it could be enough to allow for a couple of severe storms to occur as well. The lower level winds out there too are, not anything significant, but they are fairly strong, which should allow for storms to relatively get themselves organized and whatnot and get those storms relatively going. And our mid-level winds out there too, in later hours are pretty strong in general. So, given wind shear, given the instability, and also moisture too. I mean, we're talking dew points here in like the upper 60s, and that's pretty warm, especially for this time of the year. Seeing those dew points that high, yeah, that is a good supply of moisture. So we have the adequate moisture, we have the instability or the fuel for the storms, and we do have the wind shear to kind of get those storms organized together and whatnot overall. So, honestly, yeah, I really do think that we're going to be seeing the potential maybe of some severe weather tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on it. It's up to the SPC if they decide that they're going to issue a risk for it or not. But, tomorrow, once again, if it does become a risk, I might do coverage tomorrow on it, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up and to kind of help you guys out for the people who's, in the impact areas, just to kind of let you guys know kind of what's going on and everything like that. But anyways, folks, well, honestly, here soon, we're probably going to roll off here. We've been live a little over an hour here. We have a lot of information that we had to give you guys today, regarding everything, multiple rounds of snow, cold air, severe weather, and rain, and all kinds of stuff. So it's about to get pretty hefty in some of these regions out here. But if there is any questions you guys might have before I roll off here, feel free to let us know. And if you haven't already, consider hitting that subscribe button for us. And for you, it'd be greatly appreciated. That way you guys can stay on top of the weather. We stream every day. We're always here to help you guys out whenever it comes to the weather and everything. So we'll be more than happy to help you guys. And another thing that you guys can do to really help us out is share this to a friend or a family member, put it on Facebook or whatnot. That'll help us out a ton and help everybody else out as well. It would be much appreciated. But yeah, guys, like I mentioned, if y'all have any questions before I roll off here, feel free to let us know in the chat. If not, then we'll be heading off here relatively soon. Once again, I do want to thank everybody for joining us today. I really do appreciate you all and all your support. Big thank you for you all. Much appreciated. A big thank does go to Sonia as well as War Divine. Thank you guys once again for your support today. You guys are awesome. I really do appreciate you guys. And but yeah, like once again, going once, going twice. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know down in the chat. If y'all have any questions about anything in your neck of the woods, if you want me to look at a specific area, I'll be more than happy to do that with you guys. In terms of just making sure that you guys are knowing what you can expect in general. Let's see here. Sonia says, thank you for the weather report. We appreciate it. No problem, man. You're very welcome. Or, ma'am, I should say. Sorry. You're very welcome. I'm glad to help you guys out. Darian says, thank you, Andrew in chat. You're very welcome. No problem. Binksy says, thanks for everything you do, man. Anytime, guys. Y'all are very welcome. Glad to help you guys out. And like I said, we'll always be here for you guys, no matter what. We'll always be here to stream these events, and we'll always be here to help you guys out when we can. So, once again, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. It would be much appreciated, and honestly, you'd be glad you did in general. But alrighty, everybody. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. So for tonight, I don't think we're going to do anything else today. I think we're just going to, call it a night. Tomorrow, we are going to go live for you guys. Once again, maybe some severe weather coverage. We'll have to see if they do issue that risk or not tomorrow. Definitely Tuesday, we'll be doing that coverage at the marginal they have there, and everything like that. Let's see. Do I think with the current weather stream, if this, has been very different year weather-wise? Yeah, it does seem to be a lot colder this year, weather-wise, for sure. And honestly, I really do think that this year is going to be very cold for a lot of folks, and quite snowy for areas that really haven't seen snow in a while. Like the Mid-Atlantic, I think you guys might be in store for quite a snowy year, to be honest with you. I mean, just given the way that the signs have been, in the future conditions we're expecting kind of around end zone neutral, not necessarily El Nino or La Nina, we're going to be kind of stuck in the middle, kind of around normal, which, that can bring a lot of cold air down. And I think polar vortexes could be an issue later this year. Some of those really cold temperatures in the country can't be ruled out, I really do think so. And, with all that cold air and, some of the moisture from the south and whatnot, I do think that we could be quite dealing with some pretty snowy conditions and stuff overall. Jake says, what do I think as far as potential severe weather and or snow across northeast Tennessee and southwest Virginia in the near future? Yeah, so you guys actually out there, over the next 3 days, so the next 72 hours, if we go and hop you guys over here to this page here, So we are actually expecting a little bit of snow, not really a lot, but a little bit. So within the next 3 days of things here, eastern Tennessee by Johnson City could pick up about a trace. Mountain City possibly around an inch or so. Same thing for the Appalachian Plateau and like Southwest Virginia. We could see upwards of an inch or so. Not really anything significant, of course. Like I mentioned, it's not really a whole lot, but we could be dealing with a little bit of something out there, and it'll be something that we'll definitely keep an eye out there for. And regarding what you said also for severe weather, I don't see any severe thunderstorm potential for you guys per se. I wouldn't expect any severe weather or anything like that anytime soon for you guys. Honestly, I think you guys are probably done with all that for now. And then of course, so a little bit of snow possible, but we'll keep you guys posted on everything. But all right, everybody. Well, once again, I appreciate you guys for joining us. Thank you all for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. It'd be greatly appreciated, everybody. I want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody who has supported us with the donations and everything. Once again, Sonia, thank you so much, as well as Divine. Thank you guys for, once again, your support on the channel. It helps us out in every way possible, and I am super, super thankful for you guys, for the people who have supported us. Guys, make sure you check our description. We got some pretty cool stuff there, once again, including our social media, ways to support us if you'd like to, memberships, merch, everything like that is in the description if you guys want to check that out, and everything like that. But alrighty, everybody. Well, you guys take care. Once again, hit that subscribe button for me on the way out. Be greatly appreciated. That way you guys can stay up to date. And alrighty, everybody. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream on the shorts page. So you folks on the shorts, see you later. Thanks for joining, you guys. And on the main page, we're gonna be heading off here in about a minute here. But alrighty, everybody. Well, once again, thanks for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See you later, guys. Take care. See ya tomorrow.